All right, guys. So we are back. Okay, good. So we're gonna do ratios. So when you look at your ratios PowerPoint presentation, it will seem scary, but understand that financial ratio analysis is what the financial team in a company is going to look at to determine three things: your profitability, your liquidity, and your solvency. Those are the three things that financial ratios look to address or look to advise your executive team on the financial strength of your company. All right. And the information is derived from these two financial statements, the balance sheet and the income statement. All of the ratios that we're going to discuss today come from these two sheets, or you would get from other sheets as well. But the financials, the balance sheet and the income statement is where you're going to get information. So the first ratio we're going to look at is your working capital ratio that tells of the company's ability to meet its short-term obligations, and you compare it to the industry average. And we looked at a company called GI, and it's the current assets over the current liabilities. It's assets over liabilities is the working capital ratio, also called the current ratio. The other ratio is a liquidity ratio called the acid test ratio. And this one tells you the ability of the company to meet its short-term needs as well, just as the working capital ratio. The acid test is a little more specific one. It looks at all your cash equivalents, your market securities, and net receivables, and it's divided into your current liabilities. Your cash ratio is different to your acid test ratio, but in just that it misses out, or it does not include your net receivables. So your cash ratio is marketable securities, again, securities in which you can convert to cash quickly, cash equivalents, divided into your current liabilities. So your cash ratio and your acid test ratio, they're very similar, not exactly the same. Activity ratios, the accounts receivable turnover would be your net credit sales over your gross receivables, and this can tell you the quality and the success of the firm in collecting outstanding receivables. So a faster turnover gives credibility to the current and the asset test ratios. Account receivable turnover in days is their gross receivables over your net credit sales divided into 365. Your inventory turnover is your total cost of goods sold over your average inventory. And this tells you how quickly your inventory is sold and can give an idea of performance of the enterprise. Performance, if it is your inventory turns over pretty quickly, it's a good indication. Inventory turnover in days, the number of days that are required to sell the inventory that you have, right, which is your average inventory over your cost of goods sold. The operating cycle tells you the number of days between acquisition of inventory and the realization of cash from selling the inventory. So your operating cycle tells you the number of days it takes from when you buy the item to when the item is actually sold to generate cash. All right. That's the operating cycle. Working capital, so sales over your working capital. How much? I remember the very first ratio we did, or the very first calculation on the slide number 4, is your working capital, which is your current assets minus your current liabilities. And your return on assets. Your return on assets is your net income over your total assets. So gross margin versus gross percentage. Now, this is something that sometimes can be a bit confusing, but it's widely used in retail markets in determining where you position yourself. Gross margin is your sales minus your cost of goods sold. Your sales minus your cost of goods sold minus your inventory that was sold. And your gross margin percentage is your gross margin. The figure that you get there divided into your sales. So although it might sound similar as in gross margin percentage, don't think that they're the exact same thing, because one is dependent on the other. The margin percentage is dependent on the other. All right. And it gives a good indication of how profitable the company is at the most basic level. Companies with high gross margins will have plenty more money left over to spend on other operations such as research, development, and marketing. So when you look at videos on businesses, or you read articles about business, or you hear people talk about business, they talk about margin. They talk about margin percentage as well. Some of them you would hear, and that tells you about the profitability of the company, and how the company's ability to generate enough profits to be able to apply to other things. Your net profit margin, your net income over your net sales, and these are formulas you should learn, because we will be bringing some of these in your MCQs. So they're simple, straightforward things to memorize, read and memorize. Operating margin is your operating income over your total sales. How much? What's the cost? What is your cost of operation? How much is left over after paying all your costs? A healthy operating margin is is one that says your company is able to pay for its fixed costs, and sustain. Asset turnovers, net sales over net assets. Right. So return on assets. So this is very important. Your DuPont return on assets is your net income over your total assets, and your net, which is essentially your net income over your net sales multiplied by your net sales over your total assets. Okay, you can see where they cancel off, right? Um, uh, so you can use this to get the net profit margin and the total asset turnover. Is It indicates the percent return on each sale, while the asset turnover indicates the effective use of assets in generating that sale. So it indicates the percent return on each sale, and also tells you the effectiveness of using your assets in generating that sale. So the point is very important. And your ROI, you would hear about return on investment. Everybody who is invested in your company wants to know what is the potential ROI, return on investment. It tells the performance of the firm without regard to financing. Without regard to financing, how well the firm is doing. It's net income plus your net interest, minus your tax rate over your long-term liabilities and equity. So DuPont, return on assets, and return on investments are two very important formula. I want you to learn and remember. It will be important for your exams, as well as in your management career as well. Return on common equity is another one. Debt versus equity ratio. It indicates the degree of protection to creditors in case of insolvency. You want this to be low. The lower the debt equity ratio, the better. Your debt ratio, your total liabilities over your total assets. This can tell you where your financing is coming from. Operating flow over cash flow and operating flow ratio. Your cash from your operations versus your current liabilities. And these two, the EBIT and the EBITDA. These are important formula as well. I want you to look at and learn. All right, so that's it for your ratios lecture. You'll be getting some questions on these ratios in your MCQs. So please go through them. It's simple mathematical formula that you look at. The information you're getting for these ratios come from your balance sheet and come from your income statement. All right. So I want to move on to getting done the final lecture. Well, the other lecture we ought to do, which is project management. Okay. Sorry, I didn't read your comments. I've now seen your comments. The PowerPoint we're doing is the ratios that we did just now was right. Sarah had it correct. Right, right. Okay, good. Right. So as I said, your ratios lecture, they are mathematical formula that the financial analysts are the ones who are going to be using to give you advice as management on the decisions that ought to be taken on the financial strength of your company, on your company's ability to pay debt, on your company's dependence on outside financing. So these ratios are important for you to know what they can tell you, what they can forecast, what they can monitor, and for example purposes, we'll have some of them in the MCQs. Okay, right. So I want to go on to now the lecture on project management. All right, so project management is an important lecture, and it's actually a subspecialty of management. If you remember from our earlier lectures, we spoke about project management, and I don't can anyone answer me this question? Does a project manager need to have a professional qualification in a particular specialty? Answer that question for me, guys. Does a project manager need to have professional qualification in a particular specialty? Meaning, for me to be a project manager in a pharmacy organization, I need to have a pharmacy degree. For me to be a project manager in a financial organization, I need to have a finance degree. For me to be a project manager in a construction company means that I need to have a civil engineering degree. Yes or no? Does a project manager need to have professional qualification in a particular specialty? Yes or no? Waiting on some answers. We did this. We spoke about this. Anyone, guys? Does a project manager need to have professional qualification in a particular specialty? No one? Caleb, you said yes. Anyone else before I give the verdict? Does a project manager need to have? Sarah says no. Okay, anyone else? Anyone else? Karina, Savish, Dylan, Biana. Does a project? Biana says no. Karina says no. No question mark, Karina. You need to be confident in the answers. Okay, so the answer is, Dylan says no. The answer is no. A project manager does not need to have a specialty degree in a particular competency to be a project manager. A project manager simply needs to have managerial qualifications and, in some cases, pure skill in managing projects for you to become a project manager. So let's go. So a project is a temporary endeavor, and we're reading from the project management slide as well, that has a defined beginning and an end, usually constrained by a date. Remember, I said when engaging in, it can be a business, it can be a project. Think with the end in mind. And when we think with the end in mind from a business perspective, we talk about vision. We talk about what you would like to be. And that's where you can now work back. And a project is something that has a defined beginning and a defined end. And it's confined by a date and has to have deliverables, measurables. Okay? So the primary challenge of project management is to achieve all of the project goals and objectives by honoring the preconceived project constraints. The project never fails because of tools and methodology. The project fails because of people. And again, we are coming up to that point where I've made where and can someone tell me, can someone finish the state? Tracy says no. Thank you. You're correct, Tracy. Dylan says no. Can someone finish the statement for me? Human resource is the Can someone finish the statement for me? Human resource is in a company is the human resource is the come on guys, Biana. Is Precious here with us this morning? Tia as well. Celine. The most alubi resource, Firaz. Human resource is the most important resource, the most valuable resource. Your human resource is the most important resource in any organization, especially with those that are person intensive. Very good. Darian, yes, valuable. Very good. Your human resource is your most valuable resource. All right. So the project never fails because of tools and methodology. It fails because of people. Why has project management become so commonplace and useful? And that's true because you can do a project management diploma almost anywhere, and it's important. I would encourage you all to do a diploma in project management as well. It's going to augur well for your resume. It's going to help you with thinking, with project thinking, with being able to solve problems. I encourage all of you to get involved in a project management team at your workplace, or do a project management, a postgraduate or undergraduate project management diploma. It's a good thing to do. Because of the need for speed, innovation is new, but the rate of innovation has increased. There is need for a special organization formed to treat with the realities of globalization. More and more work in organizations is driven by teams. Teams. More and more work in organization is driven by teams. And I ask of you all, I remember eating KFC made a typo. Okay, Faraz, no problem. Eating KFC at 10:21 in the morning? Faraz, seriously? That better be KFC from last night. Anyway, more and more organizations are getting things done with teams. And I asked you all last week or week before about becoming what type of team? What type of team? What type of team or manager you should be? Let me see if anyone remembers. I want to get an answer for this. What type of team should you be in, or you should be a part of, or what type of manager you should be? I use an adjective. Well, yeah, you can call it an adjective to describe what I want you all to be. And it's a good thing. It's something that's going to make you very valuable as an individual, as a manager, as a group. What type of team or manager should you be? Let me get some answers. Tracy, give us a try. Biana, Sarah, Karina, Dylan. What type of team should you be in? Should you create? What type of manager should you be? I'll give you a hint. One word starts with H and the other word starts with P. One word starts with H and the other word starts with P. What type of team should you be in? What type of manager should you be? Come on, guys. You all know this. You all know this. Darian, Dylan, Caleb. What type of manager should you be? What type of team should you be in? What type of team member you should be? We're waiting on some answers. First word starts with H and the second word starts with P. A good one? A good yeah, you should be a good you should be in a good team and you should be a good manager. Yes. Yes, Tracy, good joke. A healthy one. Hear what? I said the first word starts with H. Yes, Caleb. Healthy. But it's not healthy we're looking for. And the other word starts with P. You want to be a HP team. You want to be an HP team member. You want to be a HP manager. Not healthy. Not yes. You want to be productive. Yes, productivity is definitely an objective, but it's not the word I'm looking. Procrastinating, Reese. Really, really. You want to be a procrastinating manager? You want to be a procrastinating team? Reese, come again. Try that again. Dylan, happy and productive. Yes. Yes, that's I know. I know where Dylan is going with this. Helpful and productive. I know it not correct, not completely correct, Caleb. Dylan is going with happy and productive because I said happy employees are productive employees. A happy organization is a productive organization. Yes, but that's not what I'm looking for. What type of team or manager should you be? Biana, I'm not hearing from you. Biana, you might have the answer. What about Precious? Bring it on. Bring it on. Melissa said, perfect. Melissa got it. Melissa got it. Somehow she remembered or she took a note. I want you all to be high performance individuals that are part of high performance teams, and you can be a high performance manager. If you are any one of those, you are sought after, you are headhunted. People want you to work for them. People want you to be part of their team. People want you to take the lead. A high performer, and Melissa, since you remembered, can you tell me what defines a high performance team member, or manager? What helps to define a high performance team member, team, or manager? Can anyone help her? Well, I guess no one because no one got it right. Biana, we still waiting on you, okay? Tia, Celine, I calling out some names that I remembered from last week. Productivity. No, Darian, that's not what we're looking for. Yes, productivity is granted. If it is you are not productive, efficient, Nicolette, um, you're getting close. Efficiently, you're getting close to the term or to the phrase that we're looking for. Yes, Nicolette, you're on the right track, right? So a high performance person, yes, they are efficient. But something else we said, being more than, yes, Gita, doing more than what you are expected to do, that's a good trait, that's a good quality. And yes, it can be part of being Effective, Biana, thank you for chiming in. Effective and efficient, yes, 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 and doing more than expected of you. Consistent, yes, Sarah. All of those things are good. All of those things are good, and all of those things that you just said there, being efficient, being effective, doing more than what is expected of you, being consistent, having high productivity. All of those things say to the executive team or to your manager, say to the manager about a high performance team. What is that? It's a phrase. It's a phrase. So it it's a phrase. I can say right. It's three words. If you all still want to do the guessing, let's go. It's three words. WWS. WWS. Give me some tries. It's WWS. A high performance team, a high performance manager, a high performance individual. They do this. They can do this. They can do WWS. Piana, make a go. Sarah, make a go. Nicolette, make a go. Gita, you all are getting there. Darian, yes. Melissa, Caleb. The high performance management, high performance teams, high performance individuals can do WWS. Work well. Work is one. Okay, work is one. We'll play this game. We'll play this game. Work is one. Let's get the second W. Farah's got the first one. Work. Work. Tracy. Yes. Work. Sleep. But that Tracy, I'll get back to that. I will get back to that because I want to address that as well. Win-win skills. Darian, we just said the first word is work. So maybe you want to say work win skills? No, that's incorrect. That's not what we're looking for. Come again. Think. This will definitely help you remember this. All of this theatrics we do in here will definitely help you remember the lecture. Let's go again. Come on, bring it on. WWS. The first word is work. What's the second word? Wise. No, Karina, not wise. Work wise S. No, it's work WS. Come again. Come again. Work with. Melissa, you're getting close, but it's not with. It's not with. It's not with. It's the opposite of with. Willing, special. Work willing. No. No, Gita. Wrong. Nope. But Melissa is getting closer. Without, right? Be honest skills. How could you be a high performance team and work without skills, Biana? How could you be a high performance manager and work without skills? So skills ain't the last word. Sarah is correct. The second word is without. So it's work without stopping. You, Sarah, you, what you said there, and Tracy, I will address both you and Tracy's idea of work without sleep, sleep, work without stopping. Work without stress, no Darian, nope, Faraz, nope, not stress. All right, you all want more hints for the S word? Perfect. Gita, you got it. Gita got it. Gita got it. High performance teams, high performance individuals work without salary, Biana. You're good. Work without salary. All right, you try that. So it's work without supervision. Nobody here wants to work without salary. Although it's a good thing, yes, you might do a job for, pro bono, and nothing is wrong with that. But I mean, love can't buy groceries, and Karen can't buy accessories for your vehicle. They can't buy baby milk. So, we need our salary, we need income, we need revenue. So it's work without supervision. High performance individuals, high performance teams, high performance managers work without supervision, meaning you are told what your objectives are, you are told the time frame in which it must be done, and you get it done. And immediately I think about one of the world's billionaires, Mr. Warren Buffett or Buffett, however you want to pronounce his name. Mr. Warren Buffett, in one of his, in all of his many companies that he has controlling interest in, would have one meeting every year, one staff meeting every year, and that staff meeting is usually very short. So Mr. Buffett is prepared. He does his forecast. He already has done his analysis, and he goes to his staff meeting, and he has a very short meeting. He has a very short meeting with his staff once per year. Some of us have meetings 4 times per month. Some of us have meetings 8 times per month. You work without supervision. You are a high performance team. You are just told what you need to get done, and you get it done. Can anyone give me an example of a government organization that's featured a lot in the movies that works very similar to this, that's considered a high performance team? It's in the movies. It's in the movies. Just think movies, think high performance team, think government giving you a mandate to get something done, and it gets done, and it's usually a very entertaining movie. Let's go. Let's get some answers going here. Government endorsed operation that involves the FBI. FBI is still very the A team. Caleb, the A team. I would know. The A team know, and the FBI know. The FBI is still very much structured. FBI is still very much structured and still very much controlled, and so no, not FBI and no, not A team. There are two. There's one in the US of A, and there's one in England. The Avengers. You all having fun this morning? Melissa and Marie says FBI. Gita says Avengers. Perfect, Tracy. Bingo. Tracy got it. The CIA. If you look at movies that involve the CIA, you would see clearly these guys are under the radar. They are told what they have to get done, and they get it done. The CIA is only caring about deliverables. Did you get this done? I don't care how you got it done. Once it was done. Who is the other example in England, in Britain? Tracy, since you got the one in the States, I'm sure you'll get the one. But you all didn't give me the movie though. You all didn't give me the movie that uses these things. And you can give me the movie example as well to help stimulate some thought. Doing things you enjoy, watching a good movie. So waiting on some answers, okay? MI6. Perfect, Gita. You got it. So that's Mission Impossible. Yes, Mission Impossible. Definitely great movie. And these are high performance teams. You imagine Tom Cruise, on the side of a building and cutting glass and a sandstorm. Perfect movie. Mission Impossible. Yes, good, great. So now that we have some entertainment in our lecture, we're going to continue on. So I hope I emphasize the point of each of you becoming high performance team members, high performance teams. It's good. It's important. Right. So the project driven structure has some advantages. Team members are assigned 100% of the project and do not have diversions that other structures create. Project teams are highly receptive to new ideas, new ways in which to do things, new information that would come to hand that might prevent you from getting the job done. The success of the team members depends on the success of the project, and you can see that the other way. The success of the project depends on the success of the team members. And in the true project team, all ideas are welcome and all ideas are discussed. It offers better individual visibility. The project team is self-contained, with every member accountable for the deliverables. There is no place to hide. Now understand the second point in that slide. Just shifting up a little bit here. Understand the second point in that slide where we Tracy say I can't remember the movie. I can actually get some movies and I'll send it to you all. I'll send it to you all so you can see how CIA operates. It's good, real interesting movies. So, right. So understand with project management, you must be receptive to everything that comes to you. Project management does not involve egos. Project management is not about individuals taking control. Project management is being receptive to new ideas that can affect your outcome, because all you should be interested in as a project manager is the outcome. And of course, the considerations that are there before the project and during the project and at the end of the project. But your outcome is the most important. It offers better individual visibility. The project team is self-contained, with every member accountable for deliverables. Just remember that every member is accountable for deliverables. It has great adaptability. The project manager essentially has authority over the team members' schedules and can be adjusted as needed without having to worry about conflicts. So understand that as the project manager, and you are the project manager for project team, and yes, you want to have a high performance team, but when you're part of a project, you need to understand that things will change. You are supposed to work tomorrow morning. You're supposed to go San Fernando tomorrow morning, but your boss calls and say you need to go up Chagaramas. You got to go. That's all part of his or her control over the project team. All right. So it can change. It's more amenable to planning and scheduling, because the team is self-contained. So you can adjust and plan and schedule differently, because you're not responsible for the entire organization. You are a project. You are a project that's part of the organization. And no, we're not saying that you're operating in a silo. Remember, we spoke about silos, different departments that don't communicate with each other, that are a part of one organization. You're not a silo, but you are self-contained. You have better cost control, and the project manager controls all the resources given. The project manager controls all the resources given to him or her. There are some disadvantages. It doesn't have stability. There is no clear career path, and there are few opportunities to develop new skills. My mind just went on a movie that involved, but I'll remember later. The Expendables. The Expendables is it? I'll confirm it. So projects have, we call it poor stability, but the reality is, and I want you all to understand this, in in projects generally, although there isn't stability, there is lots of rewards. So you might be involved especially in the energy sector. You might be involved in a project to construct a platform for the purpose of drilling oil. Yes, Caleb, the one with Sylvester Stallone and Jason Statham and all of the big action men. I think it was Expendables, if I'm not mistaken, but confirm with me, right? So you are part of this project to do construction of a platform. Yes, is that okay? Good. And the project is going to last 2 years. After 2 years, you don't know what's going to happen. Okay, Geeta and Caleb, yes, it's Expendables. So guys, you could take a look at Expendables. And what you would realize is when you see your package offering, or your compensation, or your remuneration package, it's quite a handsome package, quite a good package, quite a beautiful package that you can use to prepare yourself for the other project that's coming. So projects they may not have stability, but once they're done well, They can propel you to other projects. So a functional manager versus a project manager. A functional manager is a specialist in the area they manage. A functional manager in a pharmacy organization would be a pharmacist as first training. Um, and being a specialist in a field, they're usually analytically oriented and they know the details of each operation. A functional manager is a direct technical supervisor overseeing subordinates. The skills of analysis gives depth to perspective. To see the trees in the forest is the example. A functional manager can assist a project manager because a project manager is a generalist with a wide background of experience and knowledge. Now remember, a project manager can be, because they would have been involved in so many different projects in finance, projects in construction, projects in health, projects in tourism. A project manager would have all of this wealth of knowledge combined and make him a generalist or her a generalist that can that can oversee many functional areas with its own specialist. So a project manager generally is above in the hierarchy of the functional manager. The project manager knows what is needed and has the ability to put many pieces of a task together to form coherent wholes. So simply put, the project manager in preparing a hospital to be run, I'm using my example. There are many pieces that has to be put together to make a whole. So there are many things that has to happen for your building, which is brick and mortar, to be considered a hospital. You need to have certification. Let's go to bricks and mortar first. You need to have a physically sound structure. You need to have physically available rooms and equipment that has been commissioned. You need to have people employed to run those machines and to conduct and to manage those clinics. You need to have certification as a hospital. You need to have the sanitary conditions approved as a hospital. And you need to have patients. You need to get patients to come in. So it's a multitude of things that must be put together to form one coherent whole. The project manager is responsible for organizing, staffing, budgeting, everything. The project manager is a facilitator and a skilled negotiator. And I want to re-emphasize that point that in project management, it's not about individual, it's not about it's not about egos. You are a skilled negotiator and you are a facilitator. And when we look back at our review at conflict management this morning, we remember terms like collaborators and compromisers and competitors. A project manager is never an avoider. A project manager is never an avoider. He or she can be a competitor. He or she can be a compromiser. He or she can, not much a compromiser. He or she can be a collaborator, but never an avoider. Let me pull up that lecture if I still have it up. Right? So project managers would be competitors, collaborators, accommodators, hardly compromisers, and certainly not avoiders. All right? And I'm just specifically talking about conflicts, but generally you can apply it to most other things. A project manager needs some skills, strong team building, setting the positive tone. And this is where, guys and gals, as a manager, and we're talking about project management now, yes, but you need to set the positive tone. You need to address your team. Firstly, you need to address your team firstly on their task at hand. And it must be one that is positive. It must be one that the task may be onerous. It may be a difficult task, but it must be one that is positive to say we can get it done. You must address your team in a positive tone. And when you address your team in a positive tone, and then your team now addresses the stakeholders or your client, your team members, especially if they're high performance, can now give confidence to the client or to the shareholders that the project will succeed. So as a project manager, you accept a role as a project manager, you accept the task at hand. You definitely need to set the positive tone. All right? Put everyone on the right track. Strong interpersonal skills. You must have discipline completing each task of the project properly. No halfway jobs. You must be a good communicator, knowing when and whom to communicate. And a guy by the name of West had 7 habits for a project manager. Begin with the end in mind, results oriented. I want to repeat this to you all again. Begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. Think win-win. Think win-win. And I'm going back to our conflict lecture. And which of these was win-win? Win-win was collaborators. And I said this in the lecture. I just said this a few minutes ago. You must be a collaborator. You must listen to all sides of information that's coming to you, especially because it may affect your project. You must first seek to understand, then to be understood. I want to spend some time on this, you know. I want to spend some time on this. So I don't want to rush it through. So let's go and take a break now. Let's take a break, and I will come back at this point where we are discussing the skills of the project manager. Okay? So West, 7 habits of the project manager. So any questions for me so far on what we did before we go for a break? Any questions, guys? Any queries? No questions, no queries. Okay, great. So we'll end the stream and I shall return with you guys at 11 a.m.